We'll be starting with a little analogy here. So think about a ship in a turbulent water in a storm, and if it's a small ship, then it will be heavily affected, it'll be rolling, it'll be chance of a capsize, but a big ship will be much more stable and therefore much more inclined to absorb the roaring waves and come out of a storm unscathed. And that is basically my little analogy to what's going on with my little ship here in terms of content creation in general. Because like on the waves, there are ups and downs in the life of content creation. That's kind of the case for pretty much every business, and particularly in a one-man company, then you're very susceptible to swings because this is all there is. There's no sort of other department to sort of absorb the shocks of the waves. In terms of factors affecting our little ship at storm, then I will be splitting it into external factors and internal factors like the weather and the crew. I'll be splitting into quantitative and qualitative factors, such as how fast are we going with our little ship, and also how is the morale on board the ship. In terms of internal and external factors affecting our little ship at sea, then in terms of external, well, summer is never a good time for releases. There aren't a lot of releases during summer, and particularly during August, it's a bit of a drought. Then not a lot of companies want to release and then go on summer vacations, so things are usually postponed until the fall. That means it generally becomes October and November. That will be busy periods because, again, you don't want to release right before Christmas, or you want to release before Christmas, but not right before Christmas. So this is to be expected. This is what happens always during the summer. There are some seasonal variations, both in terms of sort of revenue and viewership and game releases and all those sort of. August is never really a good time. July and August are pretty bad. January is also bad in terms of revenue, but in terms of game releases, it's pretty good usually. So that's kind of how there's a seasonal variation. Most companies have this kind of thing, and this business is no different. Also, external factors like in the larger world, the cost of living, the inflation, that is affecting everyone, and not surprisingly, that also affects sort of discretionary income. And if you're throwing money at a guy on the internet, then that can only be described as discretionary income, and that's obviously something that if you have to cut down on your expenses to feed your kids, well, that's a pretty obvious place to cut down, and a very reasonable place to cut down as well. Internal factors, the crew, the morale of the crew on the ship. I've had some shit I need to deal with in real life, and I need to leave that before I start streaming and before taking it into my live streams and my content. And I have not been sufficiently good at compartmentalizing things, so sorry about that, and I'll be better in the future. So what about our little ship? If we look at it from a quantitative and qualitative feedback side, I'm going to start with the quantitative part, and that means looking at the metrics coming out of YouTube and Twitch and Patreon. And the headline is that there's a 20 to 30% decline on all metrics. Basically, that means views on YouTube, that means Patreons, that means on Twitch in terms of subs, in terms of concurrent viewers. Everything is pretty much down 20 to 30%, and that's what makes me come up with a little ship in a stormy sea analogy, because it is a stormy sea. But if I try to sort of rationalize it and think about it, well, we have those external factors, the socioeconomic part, the fact that summer is never the best period, and the fact that, well, I chose to take Factorio out of the schedule. I know a lot of you have come to the channel because of Factorio, and also because of Dyson Sphere, and there hasn't been a hint of Dyson Sphere for a long time on the channel. So granted, if those are sort of the stuff that brought you in and maybe encouraged you to support on Twitch and on Patreon and views and all that stuff, then naturally when that falls out, or is that's not on the channel right now, then, well, it's natural that people move at you other places. That is completely clear, and that's completely understandable. What I can also say is that, well, if my Factorio content was about 50% of my views, then I didn't suffer a 50% decline in views, and that's good. I've been able to compensate from that with other content. I've also been turning down from making daily videos to making maybe 4 videos per week. So obviously with fewer videos, there's also expectation that there will be fewer views generally. All other things being equal. And well, that's some decisions I've taken, and I think that if we look at the positive side of things, then the new concept of first look videos is super cool. I love it a lot, and this is then transitioning over into the qualitative part. in terms of quantity, if I look at my best performing videos for the last couple of months, many of them are my first look videos. So whether that's Ixion or Foundry or Sweet Transit or Tectonica, they are performing really well. And that's super amazing because I can see that you are watching it. It's also content that is likely to draw in new audience, and that's something I noticed very much with Captain of Industry, that it was basically, I didn't get, even though it was popular, it was exactly the same audience that was already on the channel that wanted to watch Captain Industry. So I did not generate any new subscribers because it was the Factorio audience, the Dyson Sphere program audience, the Satisfactory audience that already knew me, that watched Captain of Industry, and therefore it didn't encourage any type of growth. So these first look videos is a great way for me to get some growth, and also for us to explore, for me to explore games and figure out what is the next big thing, and also for you to get hopefully a good view of upcoming games and new releases, so that you can evaluate. If you like the games that I play, then hopefully you will also be trusting my judgment and my showcase of a video as an inspiration or as a guidance on whether you want to purchase this game or you want to just watch it, or if you want to just run away from it. So that's really cool. And I've also been getting transitioning into the qualitative part. The feedback I'm getting for a lot of the stuff I'm doing is really good, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now. And that's really interesting because that's the dichotomy between the metrics are really bad, but I'm enjoying the stuff I'm doing. I'm enjoying a lot the fact that I could pick up Oxygen Not Included, that I haven't been playing for 2 years, and it became really interesting. And I saw a lot of, not a lot, but a few other content creators also coming back to it. And I saw a lot of interest, and I could make YouTube videos and they got some views, and a lot of people sort of came back into that game because I started playing it. And it was super amazing that I could do that. And there was such a support from you guys for me doing that and picking up an old game without there actually being any new changes to the game, just out of the blue. Just I had some time, no other games around, and then coming in. Also, for example, when you look at Timberborn, that is another thing where as soon as I picked up Timberborn, then I got a lot of feedback of finally you're taking a look at it. Oh, I've been wanting to see your take on it. And that's just, it's really nice for me to get feedback that is hinting at a style and a brand that isn't, oh, it's the City Block Factorio guy. Because, you kind of want to move away from that one trick pony thing and become sort of, hey, there's an efficient, effective style and a special way of playing these games and presenting them. And if you enjoy those, well, this is hopefully the channel to you, because that's kind of going to be the way I'm going to continue to make it. I'll not be making any changes to the stuff I do. That's not my plan. What does that mean for our situation? Well, I'm not going anywhere. That's the most important thing to say. And if we look at it from our little ship analogy, well, out there the storm is raging, and it's a big storm. But on board the ship, there's a good sense that we will be able to ride out the storm and get out safely on the other side. And that was sort of the little analogy part. But actually, if I really focus down on it, what is the fact that I feel confident that we will be making on the other side? And the answer is the patronage. So all the things that go up and down, like the YouTube algorithm, the flavor of the month game, the Twitch streams and generosity there, all those things fluctuate heavily. But there's one foundation, and that is the patronage. Because a lot of the people, a lot of you who are supporting me on Patreon have been around for a long time. And that is what gives me the confidence that I don't have to chase the flavor of the month. I can sort of be doing things like picking up Oxygen Not Included, for example, because it's okay. Factorio is not going to be around for a while until it comes out with something new, or Dyson Sphere enemy update got pushed into next year. I don't have to panic because of the pledges on Patreon. So thank you very much, everyone who is pledging on Patreon at whatever you can afford. It is really what gives me the confidence that I can steer the course and get through a storm such as this. So thank you very much to everyone who is pledging. And well, if you want to support, that is the biggest way that you can support the channel and the work I do here, and allow that we can continue without chasing the next clickbait title. In terms of content, I have a number of games that I would say are core games that I can always pick up and they will always be successful. But I'm only picking them up when there's something new in these games because it allows me to get that rush of new things and excitement instead of burning out and then a new release comes out. So those games are currently Factorio, Satisfactory, Dyson Sphere Program, Oxygen not included. We can also say that stuff like Valheim and Captain of Industry is sort of creeping into those to that domain as well. And there may be others coming soon enough. So those games are games that I'm keeping an eye on, and when there's a new major release, then I am inclined to go in and start a new series, start new guides, start from scratch, that kind of thing. And I think it's really good to have these things. Of course, with the waves that it comes in, they could be two releases at the same time. There could be things that get postponed, like the Dyson Sphere Program enemy update is postponed, so we don't get to do that. Factorio, nothing happens there except for the Switch release, which I absolutely don't care about. So nothing of those in the fall, but then we have new games like Ixion, Foundry, we have Timberborn that we are just jumping into. So those are games that also can become regular games, and if they continue to evolve, then those can be games that can become regular here on the channel. And for me, over the last couple of years, it has been really important to get from being a Factorio one-trick pony that could just deliver Factorio content to being able to deliver multiple different content. And if I have 2 games, that's better. If I have 4 games, 5 games, 10 games, if I have 10 games that I can jump into and know that there will be somewhat of a success, it's much better for me, much more healthy. And then of course new game comes in and other games sort of transition out because they lose relevance. And I think that's just a much more healthy place to be. It's also more interesting for you as a viewer that there will be sort of different types of game, and maybe you'll phase out if I'm getting deep into Timberborn or Oxygen not included, and you don't have any interest in that. If you're only interested in Dyson Sphere Program, well, you can rest assured that Dyson Sphere Program will come back as soon as there is a new release, as soon as there's new content. Then I'll be coming back to that both on Twitch and here on YouTube. So I think that's basically the essence of it, that I'll be doing first look videos. I'll be continuing to pick up games that I'll be streaming. I'll be making videos, tutorial guides here on YouTube, and I feel confident about the way I'm making content these days and the stuff I'm doing. Now I just need to see that it starts paying off in terms of the quantitative part. But you know, this storm can't last forever, and we'll come out safely on the other side. So thank you very much everyone for watching and joining and supporting in whatever way is possible. I will see you guys over on Twitch. I'm streaming there Monday, Tuesday, every single day pretty much at 8 p.m. Central European time, and here on YouTube where I have, let's say, between 4 and 7 videos per week. So thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and stay effective.